Widows of the Bible 4, Dorcas. Story outline. Acts 4:36-42. Luke recounts the raising of Dorcas from the dead. It is unclear if she was a widow herself. No family is mentioned in the story. She lived in Joppa and was a benefactor to those in need. Clearly a talented seamstress, she became ill and died. This caused uproar amongst those who had come to depend on her help. Believers gathered to prepare the body for burial, whilst widows who had benefited from her kindness wailed in grief and showed off gifts which she had made. Peter was in the locality, so 2 men were dispatched. He arrived promptly. In a story reminiscent of the raising of Jairus' daughter, Peter put out the crowd. He simply prayed and offered a hand to help Dorcas rise from her deathbed. Features. This story rests in the midst of a series of accounts where individuals are called upon to leave and travel elsewhere with a particular purpose in mind. Chapter 8. Philip is sent by the Holy Spirit to a road leading from Jerusalem to meet an Ethiopian eunuch. Chapter 9. Ananias is sent by the Holy Spirit out of hiding to heal Saul of his blindness and lay hands on him to receive the Holy Spirit. Chapter 9. Barnabas takes Paul and presents him to the apostles who are suspicious of him. Chapter 9. Whilst in Lydia, Peter is visited by 2 men from Joppa and asked to return with them, where Dorcas lies dead. Chapter 10. Cornelius, a Gentile from Caesarea, is told by an angel to send for Peter, who is still in Joppa. This is the first major conversion of Gentiles. Chapter 11. Revival broke out in Antioch. Firstly, the apostles sent Barnabas to check out what was happening. He recognized that Saul was ideally gifted to help in the situation and went hunting for him. They stayed in Antioch a year. Later, other prophets and teachers made their way to the town to help. So the features are a need, an invitation to come, via the Holy Spirit, an angel, or human intervention, a willing and immediate response, the arrival and very prompt response to the need. In these examples, only 2 requests could be described as being in the immediate vicinity. Why didn't someone in Joppa simply pray for Dorcas? Was there no one ready and equipped? In 1 Corinthians 12, using the analogy of a body, Paul described how God provides all the ministries needed. In this instance, it simply does not seem to have occurred to the believers to pray. Perhaps whilst having the faith that God would answer Peter's prayer, they did not feel equipped themselves. To avoid this, it is important to acknowledge and encourage gifting in each community. Someone like Barnabas willing to recognize the gifts of another and promote them is essential. Despite this, it is clear that the Holy Spirit relocates his people. In chapter 10, when Peter is called to Caesarea, he is first shown a sheet with unclean animals. His preconceptions are destroyed by this vision and the revival that is triggered when he preaches to Cornelius and his Gentile family. This is in preparation for a council meeting in Jerusalem. He is able to share his testimony to counter the concerns of the circumcision party who object to the gospel being preached to the Gentiles. Just like Peter, when the Holy Spirit moves us around, he may be preparing us for circumstances we will face in the future. In other instances, God could be stretching our faith and trust, such as in the case of Ananias, who had to conquer his fear. The very man, Saul, he was sent to heal, had come to town to arrest all believers. I imagine that became a pivotal part of his testimony for the rest of his life. These skills and talents are not just in the supernatural sphere. Dorcas, a seamstress, was called to make the ultimate return journey. She had, we can assume, reached the heavenly gates. She was called to return to Joppa. One may ask the same question. Surely there were others who could have taken over this ministry to the poor widows. Her kind nature and generous spirit could be replicated in others, but it appears not. For the most vulnerable of Jewish society, both Peter and Dorcas made a journey of faith to meet their needs. Maybe we will be called to a next-door neighbour or a distant land. The trip might be for one person or a crowd, a single day or a year. We need to be ready, promptly obedient, allow our faith to be stretched, and use the gifts we have been given, which after all are not for us, but for others. Be blessed.